Hello everyone, welcome to Miss Lee's class. Today we're going to learn slope-intercept form of the equation for a linear function. Okay, so we know what slope is and what intercept is. We learned how to find the slope using rise over run or the slope formula. And intercepts, we learned x and y intercepts. So what is x-intercept? So x-intercepts are where the graph crosses the x-axis, and y-intercepts are where the graph crosses the y-axis. Okay, so hopefully you guys remember it. Okay, today we're going to learn about the equation for a linear function using slope and intercept. Okay? Definition of coefficient. Hopefully you guys remember what coefficient is. Okay, that is the number in front of a variable. For example, when you have 3x, 3 is the coefficient. Alright? Okay, look at example 1. So we have an equation. Y equals 3x minus 6. Okay. So remember this, everyone? When you have 3 and x, what operation is hiding in between 3 and x? Right, multiplication is hiding, alright? Okay, so we're going to graph this using a table. Okay, so say your x is -1 and 0 and 1, and you're going to find the y value. So you can use other numbers. But I'm just going to choose easy number. So -1, 0, and 1. Okay, 3 times, you're plugging -1 into x. Then that is 3 times -1 minus 6. Then 3 times -1, that is -3 minus 6. So that is -9. Okay? And 3 times 0 minus 6. 3 times 0 is 0 minus 6, -6. 3 times 1 minus 6. So 3 times 1 is 3 minus 6, that is -3. So -1, -9, 0, -6, 1, -3. We're going to plot this. -1, -9. I have to go down. -1, -9 should be here, and 0, -6 is here. 1, -3 here. All right, and we're going to join the point. Let's join the point. So you guys use a ruler. So I cannot use a ruler because this is tablet, but use a ruler to join the point. Yeah, so it's a linear function, all right? Okay, next we have -x plus 2. Y equals -x plus 2. All right, again, let's use. Well, you can use any numbers. I'm just going to use -1, 0, and 1 again. Okay, so before we start, so when you have -x, so remember this is same as -1 times x. So there is hidden 1 here, 1 is hiding. So -1 times x plus 2, all right? Okay, if x is -1, so you plug -1 into x, then -1 times -1 plus 2. That is +1 plus 2, and that will be 3. Then -1 times 0 plus 2. That is +2. -1 times 0, -1 times 1 plus 2, and that will be -1 plus 2. That will be 1. Okay, let's plot it. -1, positive 3, 0, comma 2, 1, comma 1. Okay, so plot it and join the point using a ruler. And don't forget to put arrows, everyone, because it goes forever. So we can find negative 100, positive 100. So there will be more points on the line, right? So you have to put arrows, right? Otherwise, I'm going to deduct your mark. Okay, so here we found two linear graphs. Okay, so what we're going to do is first, calculate the slope of each line. So number 1, so let's calculate the slope using rise over run, all right? So before that, is this positive? Does this one have positive slope or negative slope? It is positive because it's going up, and this one should be negative, it's going down. All right, so remember that, and let's do rise over run. Okay, so rise is a 3 and run is 1. So rise over run is, so number 1, rise over run should be 3 over 1. It's a positive, okay? Number 2, so rise is negative 1, it's going down. Run is 1, negative 1 and positive 1. So rise over run is negative 1 over 1, that is negative 1, okay? All right, slope is a 3 and negative 1. And what do you notice about the slope and the coefficient on the x variable? Okay, everyone, number 1, what is the coefficient of the x variable? 3. And what is the slope? 3. They are the same. What about number 2? What is the coefficient of x variable? Negative 1. And what is the coefficient? What is the slope? Negative 1. It's the same. Okay? So if you have an equation of this form, so we call this a slope-intercept form. So slope, it's actually telling you the slope. So you can just look at the coefficient of x. So first you find x and find the coefficient. Then the coefficient is the slope of the linear function. Okay? Next. So you say they are the same. Okay, what is the y-intercept of each graph above? Here a graph on left. Here, y-intercept. Where's the y-intercept? Here, this is the y-intercept. And what is this value? So you count it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, negative 6, okay? Oops. So this is negative 6. So y-intercept is negative 6. What about this one? Y-intercept is positive 2. Okay? So here, y-intercept on graph on left, y-intercept is negative 6. Write it down. Graph on right, the y-intercept of the graph on right is 2, positive 2. Okay, what do you notice about the y-intercept and the equation for each graph? Look at this equation. We know the y-intercept of this graph is negative 6. And we know the y-intercept of this graph is positive 2. So what do you notice? This number. So we call this constant, okay? Constant is the number just standing by itself. It's not attaching to a variable. So this is a constant. So the constant is -6 and positive 2. So basically everyone, when you have this form, this is the slope, and including the sign, this is the y-intercept. So this equation is telling you everything, slope and the y-intercept, right? So you say the constant and y-intercept are the same, okay? Okay, here's the summary. Slope-intercept form is telling you the slope and y-intercept. Okay, when you have a form of an equation, y equals mx plus b, m is the coefficient of x. So the coefficient of x is the slope. And b, the constant. The constant is the y-intercept. Okay? So remember it. The coefficient, the number attaching to x, is the slope. And the constant, the number, just standing by itself, is the y-intercept. Alright? Alright, here, state the slope and y-intercept. So what's the coefficient of x? That is 4. 4 is the slope. Y-intercept, positive 1. So you have to include the sign. So that is positive 1. Alright? Next, the slope is negative 1 over 2. What about the y-intercept? Negative 10. Okay, next, y equals 3x. So we know the slope. Slope is 3. And what about the y-intercept? There's nothing. So you can just consider that you're adding 0 here. So y-intercept is 0, right? Okay, so everyone, when you have this form of an equation, say you have 3 minus 7x. What's the slope and y-intercept? Okay, everyone, slope is the number in front of x. Slope should be negative 7. Slope is the coefficient, alright? So you say the slope is negative 7. Y-intercept is a constant. It should be the constant here. Constant is 3. That is positive 3. Alright? Okay, let's move on to the next question. Example 3. So write an equation in slope-intercept form given the slope and the y-intercept. That's a typo. Okay. Slope is 2 over 3 and y-intercept is 0, 4. Then we write y equals 2 over 3x to third x plus 4. Slope is negative 1 over 4. And the y-intercept is negative 1. Okay. Alright, next. Write the equation of the line in y equals mx plus b form. Okay. Slope-intercept form. Alright, so we're going to find the slope of the line and y-intercept of the line. Okay, so slope, we're going to find it using rise over run. So let's do rise over run. So this one, using those 2 points. The rise is -4 and run is 2. Slope is -4 over 2. That is -2. And y-intercept is 4. So y-intercept is 4. Okay, then the equation should be y equals -2x plus 4. So this is how you find an equation, how to write an equation using a given graph. Next. Okay, so we're going to find the slope and y-intercept. Slope is positive slope, right? So run is 2, 4, 6, 7, and rise is a 2. So rise over run is 2 over 7, and y-intercept is 2. And the equation should be y equals 2 over 7, x plus 2. Oh, there's actually space that I can write the equation. Okay, move on to the next question. Graph the following equations without making a table of values. Okay, we used to use the table of value. Last chapter, we learned how to draw a graph using an equation by finding x-intercept and y-intercept. Hopefully you guys remember it. This time, we're not going to make a table of value. We learned how to find the table of value to graph this equation, but we're not going to make a table of value. Instead, we're going to use slope and the intercept. Okay, so what is the slope? 5 over 2. And intercept, y-intercept. That is -1. Okay, we found the slope and the y-intercept, and using the slope and the y-intercept, we're going to draw the graph. Okay, so the y-intercept is always the starting point. So -1. We're going to start from -1, and we're going to do rise over run. So the rise is +5 and the run is +2. The graph should be going up because the slope is positive. Okay, so we're going to go up by 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to walk over 1, 2. Here. Again, rise 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2. Find another point. So let's do this in both directions. So we find another point, and we're going to join the point. Let's join the point, and don't forget to put arrows. Okay, so this is how you find your graph using slope intercept form. Next, so we have -1 over 3x minus 2. So the slope is -1 over 3. So remember this, everyone, when you have -1 over 3, so that is, you can just put negative sign anywhere. You can just put it up or down. Okay, so they're just the same number. I'm just gonna have the negative sign on the top here. And y-intercept, -2. So starting from -2, so we're going to rise -1. So you're going down and run 3. 1, 2, 3. So find another point. So do rise over run, rise over run. So just let's do this in both direction. Find point, find all the points, and let's join the points. Put arrows in both direction. Okay? So it's negative slope and it's going down, right? Okay. So this is how you find the graph. Find the graph of an equation. So can you guys do it by yourself? Okay, look at number 4. Sometimes equations are not in slope-intercept form. In that case, we have to change that into slope-intercept form by solving for y, by isolating y. Okay? So look at this. We have 3x plus y equals 4. So our goal is to isolate y. Okay? Solving for y is same as isolating y. So let's isolate y. To isolate y, we have to get rid of 3x. Okay, we have to get rid of 3x. So what's the sign of 3x? That is positive. Okay? So we have to get rid of positive 3x. What's the opposite of plus 3x, positive 3x? That is negative, minus 3x. So we're going to subtract 3x from both sides. Then it will be gone. Y will be isolated. And I have negative 3x plus 4. So remember, plus is hiding in front of 4. So that is negative 3x plus 4. So now we have slope-intercept form. So the slope is negative 3 and the y-intercept is positive 4. Next, we have x plus 3x equals 1. We want to isolate y. To isolate y, so there's 2 steps. You're going to isolate the term with y, and then isolate y. Okay, so we're going to isolate the term with y. Again, look at this. Positive is hiding in front of x. So we're going to isolate 3y, the term with y. We have to get rid of plus x, positive x. So what's the opposite of plus x? That is minus x, minus x. Okay, then it will cancel. Then I have 3y equals negative x plus 1. Then we're going to isolate y. To isolate y, we have to get rid of 3. Oops, we have to get rid of 3. Okay, what's hiding in between 3 and y, everyone? Multiplication. To get rid of multiplication, what we have to do is opposite thing, the inverse operation. So inverse operation of multiplying 3 is dividing 3. So we're going to divide it by 3. So let's use a division bar. Divide both sides by 3. Okay? Alright, then 3 will be cancelled. Y will be isolated. I have negative x plus 1 over 3. And when you rewrite it, you separate it. Okay? Then that is negative x over 3 plus 1 over 3. Right? So remember everyone, 1 is hiding in front of x. So if you change this, it will be y equals negative 1 over 3x plus 1 over 3. Okay? So this is the slope, and this is the y-intercept. So this is how you change this equation into slope-intercept form. Can you guys do this by yourself? Okay, let's move on. Number 5. A line has a y-intercept of -3 and it goes through this. Write the equation of the line in the form of y equals mx plus b. Okay, so what we know is the y-intercept. So you write down y-intercept is -3. But we don't know the slope. But we can find the slope using those 2 points. So we know the slope formula. What is the slope formula? That is y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. So x1, y1, x2, y2. So y2 minus y1 is 9 minus -7. 3 minus -1. Then using the slope formula, we will be able to find the slope. 9 minus -7 is 9 plus 7. 3 minus -1 is 3 plus 1. That is 16 over 4. That is 4. Okay? The slope is 4. Then we're done. We know everything. We know slope, and we know the slope, and we know the y-intercept. So that is 4x minus 3. So this is the equation. Okay, grade 10. That is it for today. Thanks for watching, everyone. I want you to start doing your homework now.